Planning on taking a break and don't want to lose all your stuff? Whether you want to log out for a few weeks or a few months, then I got you covered. But first, we need to understand what happens to your base over time when left unchecked. If you don't log in for a long time, your base can be lost due to a lack of power and taxes, though you'll have a grace period before it's permanently destroyed or claimed by others. Your base's shield needs to be powered to protect it from environmental hazards like sandstorms and other players. Taxes are due periodically around every 7 days, and it's extended another 7 days, so you have a total of 14 days to pay your taxes, and failing to pay them will lead to your base being powered down. If your base runs out of fuel, its shield will eventually fail, leaving it vulnerable to destruction and other players. While there's a banking system in main settlements to store important items, you may need to rely on other players to maintain your base if you're away for an extended period. If you have enough resources and a charged shield, your base's power can last for about 20 days, but if taxes aren't paid, it will be lost. Haga base and bases can be fueled for 21 days, so the shields will last that long if you can't play. Now that we understand how losing your base works, let's talk about all the different ways to keep your base, or at the very least, keep your important stuff. So our short-term strategy, obviously, logging in every week. Assuming you have enough money and resources, you can just keep your base going. Another option is to give a friend or guildmate access to your base. They can keep the base power going, but I don't believe they can pay taxes for you, so you'll still have to log in to pay your taxes. And if you plan on being logged out longer than 2 weeks, let's talk about some long-term strategies. So the first thing we can do is blueprint our vehicles. You can only blueprint the smaller vehicles, so a sand bike or a scout ornithopter. But you need the vehicle backup tool, and the vehicle's inventory must be empty. And you just click on it, and now the vehicle is stored, and I can drop it whenever I want, wherever I want, and it's permanently in my player inventory, so smaller vehicles are rather safe with this method. When it comes to larger vehicles, you're going to have to do a little more maintenance. So first you want to clear out the inventory, and then you're going to want to make sure you have a welding torch, because we're going to have to disassemble the entire thing. Then we're either going to keep it in our inventory, or there's another method where you could disassemble like your big buggy and keep those pieces in one of your ornithopters, and then you can always just fly your ornithopter to one of the in-game locations, and while your player's there, the ornithopter should be safe. Another thing you can do is blueprint your entire base layout. So if you do lose your base, you can at least save a lot of time by blueprinting the whole thing and rebuilding it later. For that, you just need one of these building tools, and you literally just point it at your base and copy it. Now, as you can see, I have my base blueprint. So for me personally, I would disassemble my buggy if I have one. I would store it in my ornithopter. I would grab all my important materials, also put it in my ornithopter or on my player inventory. I would fly to one of the in-game settlements, and then I would drop things off in the bank if I could. And if for some reason you can't do that, you can at least just leave your player with all the stuff logged out in your inventory and leave the player at one of the in-game settlements, because then your ornithopter will also be safe being at one of those settlements. So you can blueprint both your little vehicles, disassemble one of your big vehicles, store it all in the ornithopter, take it to an in-game settlement, and just log out there, and everything should be good. If you have a lot of materials, you might have to take a few trips, but some of the materials are just really easy to farm, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Also do this long term if you plan on like logging in once a week, but you want to interact with all of your things you're not going to be using. So all of your benches that use power, so anything in the game that uses power, you literally just click on it, go to general settings and disable, and you'll see your power circuit. It drops. So your total power needed is a lot less. And then once you have your entire base shut down besides your shields, then you can walk up to any of your power sources. So here I'm walking up to my wind turbine, general settings, you can disable it, and that'll reduce your total power circuit. So now this is not going to be using fuel. So we can use this fuel in our other ones. So I'd recommend shutting everything down and then gathering up all your fuel and just using it on a couple of generators, and you should be good. You definitely want to shut down your bigger fuel things and work your way down. So you start with your biggest one and shut it off and work your way all the way down until you get to these guys. And if you can run just off generators and fuel cells, then max them out, then you'll be good to go. That's the best way of saving materials if you plan on logging in. If you're not logging in, you might as well just disassemble all your important stuff and store it somewhere like mentioned previously. That's all I got for this one. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.